Now, the lightning round, and that's when we're going to talk about some of the topics that people are tweeting and talking about, some of the lighter topics. We're going to start off with a vote in Washington, and Dee Dee, this used to be called the guillotine vote. Tell me why this was considered a big win for the Republicans this week.
Well, it was a very important vote. You had Marco Rubio, Rand Paul, and Ted Cruz, and of course Ted Cruz spoke for 21 hours, trying to bring Obamacare or to close it down. Well, this vote basically was to shut down the process. So it was a big fight between the conservatives and what they call establishment. So Rand Paul out of Kentucky voted against it, and Mitch McConnell, the Senate leader, voted for it. So it was fascinating, but the people who want to run for president next time in the Republican Party, they all voted against it because the people were against it. They did not like any of this, so it was fascinating.
It really was fascinating to watch that, but yeah, all three of those GOP hopefuls said
that tells you something.
It sure does. All right, let's talk about Michael Jackson. All right, we had 58 witnesses, something like 83 days of testimony, multi-billion-dollar lawsuit going on. The family of Michael Jackson is saying that the giant AEG Live, they were possibly liable for his drug-induced death by pushing him too hard. Dr. Bart, what do you think?
I think the family ought to look at Michael Jackson. He's a personality. He was a personality problem, severely disturbed individual. And what bothers me about this is the family's going after money. They want more. They want more. But it's the kid that's had many, many problems. And I think that they're kind of missing the boat here. They ought to just look at themselves a little bit more and look at their son and look at what really transpired here.
Paul?
Well, they should have been more involved when that was going on. To come in after the fact to say, you were doing this, you were doing that. Well, if they would have been more involved in his personal life at that time, maybe they would have saved him, maybe they would have helped him, they would have been more aware of what was going on.
And the lawsuit's even being brought about by his mother, his 83-year-old mother, and his 3 children.
Why weren't they so concerned then?
I'm sorry, but the business that's not their job to baby this guy. This is a business. Their job is to make money.
He's not a child.
They shouldn't be penalized. They shouldn't be penalized for what he did. I mean, I think it's ridiculous.
But if you go into the Twitter sphere, everybody's his Michael Jackson fans are hoping that they're going to see a very large settlement. But
look, these promoters spend millions of dollars to put these artists on stage and perform. And when you talk about things that Michael was doing, that they were stepping in and trying to get him to a position where he could actually perform, that's what happens.
Yeah, where was the family?
But it's not their responsibility. It's the family's responsibility. If they care so much about him, why weren't they doing something then?
Exactly.
He was also breaking the law. I mean, on several occasions by using illegal drugs.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the family's problem, not the business's problem.
So how do we get past that? Breaking the law, having personality problems, being a disturbed person himself, but now we're focused on a trial. I mean, it just really doesn't work.
For the business, it's not the business's fault he did all this. I mean, the family should have been watching closer.
Absolutely.
It really, I mean, for us just to watch him from the very beginning as such a cute kid and to this such a sad ending. Yeah. But just how did somebody, as we were talking about, how did people not step in and really help him?
Well, I always say that people have so many different sides to their personality. And with Michael Jackson, he had multiple sides to his personality. Big, giant success. And he had trouble dealing with all of that and his own demons and his own conflicts. And to Dee Dee's point, all of our point here, where was the family when this kid really needed a lot of assistance? And that's what bothers me about the whole case.
I guess it was right after that Thriller album that we kind of started to see him go.
Yeah, he started to lose it at that point.
He started changing color, literally. He started changing color. That's not a good thing.
Well, but it is very sad. Okay, predictions. What do you think will happen? I mean, it's a big case because it's a lot of money. You think their family's going to?
I think it'd be crazy if they got the money because it's not the business's responsibility. I think it'd be a very sad day if that business has to pay for his demons.
Well, we've seen people get millions of dollars for having a hot cup of coffee spilled on them, and McDonald's had to pay for that one. Paul?
I think ultimately the AEG has deep pockets and they're going to come out of pocket with something, unfortunately. I don't agree with it. But they will wind up settling on some dollar amount just to make it go away.
Just to appease everybody.
I don't think it's a good case. I think that the family could lose this case.
Well, we will certainly wait and see. Certainly something that everybody's been talking about out there on the Twitter sphere. Okay, now we're going to go talk about some tigers now. Yes, tigers in Brazil, because this was a big subject, and they had this family is keeping these big cats, and there's been a lot of different folks who have kept large animals in their homes. but it's sort of taken off into this craze where everybody's going back and forth. I'm going to guess that everybody's against having large tigers in their homes, but we're going to weigh in on it because everybody's talking about it. Dee Dee?
Look, I wouldn't do it, but I think to each his own. If they want to do that and endanger themselves and their family, so be it. I think people should be able to do whatever they want to.
But if they're not licensed and trained handlers, you're not only threatening the people in your home, those cats could get loose.
Well, there was
and if you live next door, you might not be saying...
Well, I wouldn't be happy as a next door neighbor, that's for sure.
Right.
I would be complaining.
We're actually in Somerset, New Jersey, and there was a lady in Jackson, New Jersey, and her cats got out, and I think there was something like 9 of them. I just can't even imagine keeping the cats, just the amount of money it would cost. I had my nephew with me. I was like, it costs so much money to feed him.
I mean, where's reasonableness in all this? I mean, it seems to me that's beyond the pale of reason to have these cats in certain family settings.
Well, okay, let's talk
But
about
people
just
have
the
snakes. I mean, people have, exotic animals.
But let's
pets.
talk about the psychology of somebody who has a large animal or a snake or any of these animals that could do some sort of harm. Are they trying to push the limit or something? I mean, even Steve Irwin down in Australia, he was always working with, he'd put his child's head in an alligator or a crocodile.
They are pushing the limit, but I think that there has to be something said about everybody else living in the community, and we have to have safeguards for everyone else. It can't be, well, I'll just do what I want to do, and if some of these animals escape, then there's a problem.
Well, is it a subdivision or do they have a farm? I mean, I think that makes a difference
No, they're
too.
actually in the house. You got to go. You got to go Google them now.
Yeah, that's probably not fair for the community
the children.
association.
That's
So yeah, I
Cats
guess that's
hugging
probably not a
them,
good idea.
and they're actually living in the home. I mean, I guess it's got to be a bigger house than I have. But all right. Well, I'm not a big fast food girl, but we can talk a little bit about Burger King and their low-cal French fries, because everybody said, could it happen? Could there really be such a thing as a low-cal French fry? And do we need it?
Well, isn't that kind of against what French fries are all about?
Yeah, I mean,
because you're going to a fast food place to have that type of food, greasy fries, salty fries, and to make them low-cal is goofy. So yeah, and I don't like diet anything. I mean, I'd go for the straight Coke, no Diet Coke. I don't want any diet because usually there will be full of chemicals. Somewhere there's something bad there. There's something that's worse than the fat.
Well, I was going to say, what's inside
what is
a
it?
low-cal French fry? I mean,
Not a
how
lot
can
of potatoes.
Exactly.
Yeah, this makes me hot as a psychologist, actually, because I'm really opposed to light anything, light beer, light wine, light. I mean, why not eat and drink the real stuff, and then contain yourself, control yourself. I agree with Dee Dee. I mean, let's have the real stuff. This makeup food is just beyond all reason.
Okay, but you're the psychologist. Now you're the money guy, marketing genius for Burger King. What
They're
do you
marketing
think?
geniuses, and whether or not it ultimately, helps anybody
Geniuses,
lose.
I think it's going to flop. You think it's
even
going to
if
go?
But even if it flops, look at the attention that it is garnered. And at the
But
end of
that
the day,
attention, I think they think it's
Well,
dumb.
I don't know about that, because I think people are talking about it. I mean, here we are talking about
Look,
it, and
Well,
we're
that's
talking
true.
about it because
the diet industry is a multi-billion-dollar
Oh,
industry, and
yeah.
people get sold on the bill of goods every single day. Diet soda, diet this,
Which are
diet
so
that.
bad for you. All
And
of it's
they
so
are,
bad for you.
But people who are battling obesity and trying to lose weight, they'll do anything. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the age-old thing, everything in moderation. You could eat lettuce. If you ate too much lettuce, you could get fat.
Remember
because
those chips with Olean, and it
Yeah.
kind of,
Oh.
it made you sick to your stomach, and it had terrible things happen.
Horrible
I mean,
thing.
But it's true, though. The psychology of all of this is really, I can have a Coke, but it's a Diet Coke. So
Beats
then
in
I
at
can
any
then I
cost.
could have more of them. I
True.
could have 2 or 3.
Yep.
The psychology of the whole thing works from a marketing standpoint. It doesn't work for me as a psychologist. It doesn't make sense.
But the
really.
chemicals are so hard on your body, and they make you gain weight,
Absolutely.
actually, from everything we've
Absolutely.
read. It's better to have the real
Look
Coke.
up aspartame. You talk about Diet Coke.
Terrible.
Aspartame, the toxicity levels in people